Yeah. Live from Austin, Texas, it's the internet's favorite advice show.
Answering for a Friend.
Now, here's your hosts, Clint Baker and Mia Harms. Hey, what's up, guys? We are back. Mia, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Do you realize this is episode 6 of Answering for a Friend?
Episode 6.
Yes. We're going to be in the
I can almost count that high.
We're going to be in the teens before you know it. This is exciting.
That's really cool. I'm so excited.
Me too. Well, guys, before we get started with the show, we want to encourage everybody to comment, ask questions. We're going to play a game at the end of the show called the Best and Worst, where we talk about the best and worst. We go back and forth with that. So, for instance, best car you ever had, worst car you ever had. So if you guys think of anything, mention it in the comments. We'll talk about it in the show. I want to make sure our comments are working. How are we doing, comments? Anybody? All right. All right, before we get started, let's like, share, and subscribe, guys. Click the notification bell if you're on YouTube so you can get notified about future shows that we do, and follow us if you're on Facebook. So we're doing both. And now, as of last, Brian's there. All right, I'm going to add that to the comments right there. As of yesterday, we are on, and I'm not sure, I haven't checked on my phone yet, but we've been added to Apple and Spotify and every other podcast. So if you don't have time to catch a show, you can listen to the show. All righty, so
that's so exciting. I'm so excited about that.
We are so high tech. It's crazy. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's quit dilly-dallying and get to it. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right,
let's answer some questions.
Let's see here. All right, the first question is, wait for it. Boom. I'm going to ask a woman out. What should I say? Okay.
I'm going to ask a woman out. What should I say?
Yeah. Well, you should start with hello, at least. I would say, yeah. What do you say? Mia, what do you think this person should say, ideally?
Ooh, I mean, I think that it's hard because we never get the context that we really need.
We have no context. Do you know this woman? Is it a friend of yours that you don't want to mess things up because you don't want to cross the line? Is it a stranger? There's a lot of variables.
Yeah.
If
it's a stranger, it's kind of tough. I mean, you have to either say something funny or just let it go. But if it's someone you know, I don't know, just like, hey, you want to go get some coffee?
Yeah, I mean that is the testing ground. I mean, you need to go to a neutral location where they feel safe. Starbucks is the quick one. Where you're like, hey, you want to meet me for a quick coffee? Yeah. Everyone knows what that means. That's where you like, oh, it's the same with social, like with dating apps and stuff. Like that's the safe thing. There's people around and it's afternoon time, or that's a safe thing. But what if it's somebody you kind of know? I want to say, man, the first thing you don't want to do is you don't want to compliment them on how they look. You don't want to be like, you're hot, let's go out on a date. You need to need to figure out a way to have at least a short conversation with this person, and then you need to compliment them on something that they don't hear all the time.
Yeah. Like what?
Well, like if you're like, hey, even if it... I mean, like, hey, you're really fun, man. Like we should hang out a little bit. I'd love to hang out with you a little bit more. You're like everybody I hang out with is it's the same old, and you're like refreshing. I really like your personality. You're fun. Yeah. Then like, oh, I'm fun. They appreciate me, Or you're like, man, you are really insightful or really smart. You have a lot of things to say. I would love to just sit down and have a coffee with you and just talk about stuff because you're really interesting. Things like that. If you just tell a girl she's good looking, they don't care. If you tell a woman that she is smart or funny or quirky or fun to be around, that makes them feel special. Any dumbass can say, hey, you're good, you're hot. So
Yeah.
that's my advice.
I like that. Just kind of work it into the conversation. Like, after you've had kind of a good conversation, like banter, being like, hey, do you want to grab some coffee sometime? It's really, yeah, I like that.
And Brian's got a good.
What does he
We're gonna
say?
add that. Oh, I've got a little lag going on my system. I don't know why. He says, "Don't do it at 2:30 a.m. She'll know you're drunk and trolling for booty." This
I
facts,
agree. Yeah,
facts, yeah.
facts for sure.
Here I got a question from Punk Rock Phil. He's back.
Hi, Punk Rock Phil.
This is a good question. Having lunch with a friend who is recently sober, do I order a drink?
You know what? That's a good question.
Is an
And
excellent.
I am also recently somebody who doesn't consume alcohol. So, people are so awkward around that with me. Like they don't know if they can like they feel like they need my permission to order a drink. And the thing is like you have to still continue to be the person, that you are. You can always ask them, but I think that like part of the journey is being able to like kind of just be a do the normal things you would normally do just without alcohol, which includes being around other people who are consuming alcohol.
Yeah. That's got to be
But,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna like, yeah, you can always just ask. But when people like act so weird around me, I don't like it. Just do you.
That's a big part of quitting drinking is people think, oh, I'm not going to know how to act, or I'm going to be the awkward person in the bunch. Like, how do I do that? That's like my
Yeah.
whole, like some people, it's like, this is my whole lifestyle. That's what I do. So that does have to be weird. Is it also like, does it also make you want to hang out with different people? Like that, like, you know what? I can't hang around these drunk people anymore. I have to find new friends, or have you found that like, no, actually I have a great time hanging out with my friends, or
Yeah.
I just naturally gravitate towards people that are doing other things? What are your experiences? I know you're a busy person. You're
Yeah.
you're constantly busy. So if you're like, hey, I'm too busy to even notice, that's a good answer too. But go ahead. I didn't mean
Yeah.
to.
You know what? It's like, well, it's been the pandemic, so I haven't really experienced those nights out where everyone's just partying like crazy and I'm not drinking. But I have had like a couple of like events that I've been to where everyone else is drinking, and it seems fine. I don't really have a big party group of friends to begin with, so it's been like really easy, but I just wanted to really learn how to do life however life happens just without consuming alcohol. I'm not sober, like I'm not in a program. I just chose to cut it out. So it's a different journey for me. Maybe this person that Punk Rock Phil's referring to like hit a rock bottom and
Right.
maybe they can't be around it for a while.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've done that too, where I said, you know what? I'm not going to drink till Halloween. How about that? Because I like to go out and have fun at Halloween parties.
Yeah.
That's the next time I don't, and I didn't even realize. I'm like, oh, that's 66 days away, and and I had a great time. I did a lot of
Yeah.
crazy stuff. I started woodworking, and no, I didn't really. But but a lot of crazy. I had a lot of fun, and just did different things. And it's weird. I've said this about diets, about anything. Like I was vegan for a while. 2 weeks in, my brain completely reprogrammed, and I didn't.
Right?
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's anything. That's why, like, even working out, if you can just make yourself do it for 2 or 3 weeks constantly, you'll reprogram your brain, and that's just something you do now. So I think it's
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, you know what? That is really considerate, Phil. And I think if the person is like, I think if the person's gonna start shaking and rip the drink out of your hand, you should probably not not do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if that's not the case, have a drink, man. Let's see here. Completely depends. Tess says completely depends on that person. Some people are completely okay with it, and some people don't handle it well. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have a
They-
oh, and this is your friend. I'd have a drink or 5 in front of Mia, but my mom never. That's a two.
Tess, I want you to have 5 drinks in front of me, except for I might need then to also have 5 drinks in front of you, because you're fun.
Well, let's go to our next question. All right. Wait for it. There we go. I'm going to have a huge horizontal scar on my leg. Any ideas for a tattoo that I should get to cover it up? Asking for a friend. Wow, that's a weird one.
Interesting.
Yeah, on my leg. Horizontal. So I'm guessing that means like that, and it's going to be a cross. Go. What do you
like what part of the leg?
We'll say the top. They didn't say, so we're gonna say
Thigh, maybe.
We're gonna say the thigh. Yeah, the thigh area. Horizontal.
Tattoos are so personal. How do you answer that for someone else that you don't know?
Well,
I got a giant anatomical heart on my thigh, to cover a scar. So don't do that, because then you'd be copying me.
I would say I got some ideas. You could do a zipper around and then have it look like it's
Make it look
like it's opening, like the where a garter belt would sit, the top. You could also do.
We could really just suggest anything to this person.
You could
get your mom's face
and have the scar be one of her eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly. There are some pretty cool scar cover-ups. You can also, they do cosmetic scar cover-up tattooing where it's like skin tone.
I say get a tattoo of Eugene Levy's face and have the scar be one of his eyebrows. That's
one of his eyebrows.
Yes.
Or just a caterpillar or a snake.
Yeah. Or a train track. If it's like a gnarly scar, you could have train tracks that go all the way down your leg.
Yeah. Or a Christmas tree with the train that goes around the skirt. That's not a good suggestion. I'm just being silly. It's really hard to pick tattoos for people, but there are great scar cover-up tattoos for sure.
Kim Whitehead says, I'd leave the scar alone. Sometimes nothing is better than a reminder of what you survived. I agree with you, Kim. Kim is awesome. Kim, I saw you plugged us on your Facebook the other day and said that you love the show, and we really appreciate it because we've been putting some work into it, and when somebody says something nice like that, it makes us feel good. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Kim's the best. And Tess says, a scaled fish. The scar looks like their skeleton. That is really cool.
That is such a better suggestion than anything we just came up with.
That's the winner, I think.
That's really cool.
Well, you just got the bell on that one. You got the winner.
Well, you know what? You could do that with almost anything, though. Like anything you wanted to look like a skeleton. That would be like an X-ray almost.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. In fact, Tess, you get better than the bell. You're going to get the DJ air horn. Yeah, winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Now to our next question. Here we go. Tips for first-time car buyers asking for a friend. Oh,
why am I laughing about this?
Oh, this is a good one. Just because I heard you have a conversation about this and you didn't even know this is going to be one of the questions. I'm going to go.
Know.
You had way better things to say about it than I did, so I'm going to just do mine real quick and then let you go off.
Right.
What I'm going to say is what my dad always said, you don't need to get a brand new car. You should get it's going to depreciate in value as soon as you drive it off the lot. Get a 2 or 3 year old car that's still nice, and you're going to get the best deal for your money. It's going to have a few miles on it, but you can get something that has good mileage and is a nice car, and you're not going to be embarrassed to drive around. You'll still be able to impress people that you got a nice shiny new car. It's just not going to be brand new. That's my dad's advice. There's all kinds of other advice regarding financing and other things, but I'm going to turn the floor over to Mia. What do you got to say, Mia?
Because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Mia
you know what?
blew me away. I was like, whoa.
It's funny because I was answering questions to my mother about this when we were getting ready for the show. So it's so funny that this question came up. But I agree with that 100%. And that's what I did with my car. I got a little bit older of a car just so I could get it fully loaded. Like I wouldn't have been able to afford that new. So now I have a really nice car. But I think some of my advice is number one, try to secure your own financing through a credit union are usually better than big banks. Don't finance through the dealership. Don't let them talk you into running your credit because it totally ruins your credit. Well, it doesn't ruin your credit, but it knocks it down like half a point every time your credit's run. I don't know if you guys know that, but so already have your financing in place when you walk in, and never tell them what can pay. Like never be like, my payments have to be this, because then they will do whatever. They might have been less than that. You don't know, and they will like just work whatever they can into that price. And never buy extended warranties and any of those packages. They don't help you out in any way. They're just trying to get more money out of you. And ask for itemized like documentation of what you're paying for. I had them on a used car try to charge me for something that got sprayed underneath the vehicle when it was purchased new. It had already been owned by two people. I don't have to pay for that. That's been paid for a long time ago. So yeah, those are my main advice points. I think. Was there anything else? I think that was it.
No, that was really good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, also if anybody needs in the Austin area is looking for a credit union, I have a good friend of mine who is a branch manager of a credit union, and I don't want to embarrass them or anything, but you can private message me, and I could send you their way, and she'll take good care of you. So, and just for all you Austin peeps out there, Kim says. I'm buying a car right now. Suggest getting a loan offer from a dealership and one from your bank so you can play them off each other.
That's not bad if your credit is really good and you don't. Yeah, I agree with that. If your credit's really good and you can take the small hit to your credit of it being ran twice, but that's not always the case with everybody.
And Tess says, find someone who knows about cars. I could have bought my first one. I couldn't have bought my first one without a friend that knows all about them and what to look for.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's the same friend that helped me buy my first car.
All right. Well, let's move forward, and good luck with all the car purchases that are happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they watched last week's Justified, and everybody said, you know what? I do deserve that new car. Let's go.
I do deserve that Tesla.
Yes. Don't get me excited. Let's see here. All right. And the next question is, my therapy sessions have recently devolved into a mainly hostile environment. Any advice? Asking for a friend.
Ooh.
Wow. Hostile environment. There's two things I think. And there's two things. One, either your therapist is not the right person for you. Not everybody is a perfect match. Maybe you need another therapist. But there's also a possibility that your therapist is saying exactly what you need to hear, and you just don't want to accept it and you don't like it because the truth hurts, and that's a possibility too. And you need to be really honest with yourself. And, sometimes they make suggestions. They listen to you, but they also make suggestions on things you can do to fix your life. And, sometimes hearing, hey man, maybe you should slow down on your drinking, or hey, maybe your wife isn't always wrong, or whatever, maybe you're not always right, those things are hard to hear, and there's a million different situations, and this is kind of a vague post, but that was just my two thoughts. Mia, what do you got?
Actually, that's exactly what I was going to say. I definitely had therapists that will tell you what you want to hear. You're just talking to them basically the whole time.
Yeah.
And are you really working anything out? I think the best therapists I've had are the ones that are like, where I leave almost a little grumpy sometimes because they are really telling it to me straight, and it's not always easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. It's, what do you want to get out of therapy? Are you looking for a stranger to dump all of your problems on? Or are you looking to really work through stuff and get the hard suggestions, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree with you.
If you had it all worked out, you wouldn't be in there in the first place. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
And if it's hostile for any other reason, then yeah, it's not the right place for you.
Yeah.
It's time to find someone else. And you don't, yeah, it's totally fine to break up with your therapist and find someone who works better for you.
oh, what do we got? But it should never be hostile. Yeah, I obviously I don't think and I read this I shortened this thing down. They weren't getting into arguments necessarily. It was just getting a little bit loud. Not loud, but confrontational. I think
Yeah.
honestly my from what I read, I think the person just didn't like what the guy was saying. Didn't want to take the advice is really the situation. But I had to shorten it down for conversation and for screen sake. So let's move on to the next one. Yeah, no relationship should ever be hostile. But when you're in a therapeutic situation where it's almost a doctor for your emotions, sometimes you're gonna get your feelings hurt. So all right, moving forward. Moving on.
Moving up.
I get my COVID shot tomorrow, and I'm worried about dying. Should I be worried?
Geez.
Asking for a friend.
No. You should not be worried. Get your shot. Oh my God.
Phil's still alive.
I've had both mine. Listen.
Get him, Mia.
How many people? 2.3 million. What's the number of deaths right now from COVID? Millions of people have died. And I'm sorry, but even if you were to have some sort of reaction to the vaccine that is better than getting COVID, and even if you have mild COVID, how many people did you spread it to before you showed symptoms? You might have killed a bunch of people. Just get vaccinated. I can't. You got to do it. You got to do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean.
Even if you die, listen, you're dying for your country.
That's right. I know the internet's scary, and everybody's got a crazy relative that sends them scary videos and stuff. But there's conspiracies for everything, and what you need to do is do the math. Look at how many people have been vaccinated, and then look up how many people have died from the vaccine. Look that up.
You're doing the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Look that up, and then you'll say, "Oh, there's only been this many reactions." And yeah, there's reactions to everything, but I mean, just look at the numbers and then realize, "Oh, I'm being ridiculous." So anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
I'm sure there's gonna be comments on that.
Oh yeah.
I just outed myself now. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. We all know.
Uh-oh. What is the most life-changing piece of advice that has molded you into the person that you are today? Asking for a friend. All right. Well,
it's life-changing piece of advice.
Yeah, I know mine. I'll jump out with mine. You don't have to be right all the time, even when you think you're right. My dad told me that. He said, "Look, man, look at me. I've been divorced 3 times. I'm living in this little apartment by myself, and I'm always right." He's like, "Sometimes it's better not to be right. It's like if you love your girlfriend and you want to be with her, just keep your mouth shut sometimes, because you can be right and sleeping on the couch, or you can get through this little argument or whatever the dumb thing is, and then be having a good time and watching a movie together, and it's fine." And he's like, your bands that you're in, he's like, you can be right, and all of a sudden your people keep quitting your bands, and you're all by yourself, or you can just say, you know what? Okay, I'll let them be right, and that's the best thing. You don't have to be right all the time. It's lonely being right, is what he said. So I said, hey, so I try to keep that in mind. It works at jobs. Sometimes your boss is being a jackass, but then sometimes there's situations where his boss is giving him a hard time and he's
Yep.
just doing what he's supposed to be doing, even though you're mad at him and you take it personal. Sometimes there's other situations. Anything, anything from dealing with a cashier at a store who's, whose mom is dying and you don't know it and you're being a dick about something that is super trivial in the grand scheme of things. It's like you don't have to be right all the time. So that's my life-changing advice. What do you got,
That
Mia?
is so good.
Thanks.
I mean, I love that. I feel similarly in like, relinquishing control. You don't have control over other people's actions. We just think that we do. Life-changing advice. I have a lot of probably little ones, but the one that's been probably the most like prevalent on my mind in the last year is like about forgiveness, and that you can forgive people and it doesn't have to involve them. Like you can let go of grudges. You don't have to hold on to stuff. And if friendships end, that doesn't necessarily mean that you like hate that person and you want them to like starve and die. You just no longer want them in your world, and that's okay to say that, and it's okay to move on and not hold a grudge against them, but just recognize that they weren't a good part of your life. And that has really helped me, because we don't have to be friends with people just because we've known them for 20 years, or for whatever reason. Like people grow and change, and I don't know. It's been a big one for me.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I'm glad
This show is deep today.
I know, we're deep, getting deep. I'm glad we're still friends, Mia. I'm glad you have it.
I have to talk to you after the show here.
All right, let's see what we got next. Let's see what we got. Oh, this was a good one. Deep. Speaking of deep. Wait for it. All right. Today I ran over a duck in the road. It was a complete accident, but I still feel completely devastated. What do I do? Asking for a friend.
Oh my god.
It's terrible. First of all,
a duck.
A
I've never
duck.
even heard of someone hitting a duck before.
I know it was random. Uh, were you at the zoo? No. There's ducks in pond neighborhoods and stuff.
Did you just say pond neighborhoods?
Pondy, subdivisions that have a lake.
Pond neighborhoods.
Pond Springs. No, neighborhoods that have lakes in them
Duck
and stuff.
ponds. No,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Sometimes you see peacocks even. Yeah, it's terrible. It sucks. That's the worst feeling. I remember when I was a kid, my dad ran over a cat when I was in the car, and I felt it wasn't on purpose. It just didn't get out of the way, and I felt terrible. And I wasn't even driving, and I've hit deer on the road. But the thing you got to remember is you said it. You didn't do it on purpose. And yes, you're devastated. You got to forgive yourself, because there's nothing you can do about it. And you just got to forgive yourself for that and just realize, hey, it happens.
Yeah, it's hard. I hit a dog once. I was on my way to work. It was 6 a.m., foggy, rainy, in a neighborhood, no street lights. And he just came out in front of me. And I waited with him. He was still alive, and I called the 311 and, did the thing. But it was so heartbreaking. I was like sobbing all day because of it.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. And you just have to, it's one of those situations where when enough time passes, you'll feel better, but it's not really much else you can do about it.
Yeah, let's get out of this heavy thing. There's nothing you can do. Forgive yourself. You know what? Go feed some ducks. That's how you can maybe adopt an animal that needs a good home.
Give back to nature.
Yeah, that's what you do. Let's see here. Tess just threw down a heavy thing, but we just moved forward to Tess, so I didn't mean to ignore your comment there. Since my last breakup, it bothers me to be touched by anyone I'm seeing. Sex isn't a problem, but as far as non-sexual intimacy, I can't do it. No, as far as non-sexual intimacy, I can't do it. Yikes.
Wow.
What do I do? Asking for a friend.
I think you kind of know what, do you want this salt? Are you trying to work through this to be able to get there again? That's something that's going to take time, but it sounds like you have a pretty clear boundary right now, which is an extremely healthy place to be.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
said I don't know if I put it in, typed it into the onto that last screen, but they were cheated on like in last
Mhm.
July, and since then and now they don't. Yeah, they were cheated on, and I think that you're still that you're not over it yet. That's why you're
Yeah.
cringing when somebody touches you. You're trying to move forward and trying to see other people and stuff, but you haven't healed
Yeah.
completely.
It's
And
your body's fight or flight. It's telling
yeah,
you that you're going to be in danger.
y-
And so that's why you're reacting that way. But it's okay. Maybe just live in that space for a while and just be like, okay, this is what I need. And, you know, it's okay. It's okay to still be there,
yeah.
you know?
And it's okay to be alone for a while. If you don't feel comfortable, take a break. You don't have to be seeing somebody.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to take a break and figure out who you are, or really think about what's going on in your life. But I would say don't isolate completely, because you'll wake up 10 years later doing an advice show, and like, I'm just kidding. No, but I was talking about myself. I was just kidding. But no, like, don't isolate yourself forever, because you can be single for a long time. If
Yeah.
if you're looking for somebody, get out there and meet people. And you know what? When you quit thinking about it, you're gonna meet somebody that knocks you off your feet, and like,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be unplanned. So, yeah. So, yeah. All right, I got one more here, and then we're gonna play a game right after this. Mia, I think you're
Woohoo!
uniquely qualified to answer this one.
Oh, great. What is it gonna be?
Yeah, waiting for it. There we go. Weird question. Anyone else experience burping in the first trimester? Like, a lot. Asking for a friend. Um,
That's normal for sure. 100% normal. You're so much gassier. When we think gassy, we aren't considering the burping side of it, but that's totally what your gas is, both directions. It's all the directions. I don't know if I experienced it. Don't drink carbonated things. I
yeah.
don't know if you're doing like sparkling water. You shouldn't be doing soda, but don't do the mineral waters either. But it's normal. It's uncomfortable, but it's normal.
My baby's
Lot.
made my baby's made of 100% Mountain Dew.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a delicious baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no I mean, I'm sure if I had a pregnant partner, I would be really gassy during the first
You would be
trimester. I
gassy
would I would be.
because you're eating for two.
Yeah, I would be eating all the things that, because I'm a jerk, and I would be like, "Look at this Dr. Pepper." And yeah.
I would also say stay away from the foods that cause that. Like we obviously the processed foods, but there are a lot of vegetables too that like broccoli is one. You might think you're eating super healthy because you're pregnant, but then you don't realize like the vegetables that create a lot of gas. And oh, the other thing that's really good is food combining. Look into food combining. What foods can be eaten together to digest properly? Sometimes you have to eat things separately. I remember when I was pregnant and I
Whoa.
would eat like the chicken and then I would eat the veggie. Like I would give it time. I would space it out, but I couldn't just like take a bite of the chicken and then the veggies and then the right. Like I had to eat one thing till completion before I moved on.
Wow. So you got to like eat chicken for lunch and then broccoli for dinner, like at different times.
Not that far, like even just in one sitting of a meal, you can do it, but like finish one portion. There's like tons of information on food combining. It's really interesting stuff. And it goes back to like when we were foraging, we would find just the one food. So like maybe we found the berries and that's what we're all eating in our tribe is the berries. And then maybe we killed a squirrel type thing that was around back then. So then we would all eat that. So we weren't used to sitting down and eating meals where you're having 5 or 6 different types of things at once. So it helps a lot of digestive issues for people too. So maybe
In-
that'll help with the gas.
Interesting. And Kim commented. She said, "Yes, the baby sits on the intestinal tract until it gets big enough to move around and causes painful gas from both ends." Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
100%ly.
100%. Let's see here. Well, you ready to play a game?
I want to play a
Yeah, game time.
game. This was a heavy show, so we
Yeah,
can't.
we need to get this fun. All
We
right.
need some ridiculous things
Yes,
going on.
our game for today is called Best and Worst. Yeah. Man,
Best
I really
and worst.
exaggerated the worst, like I was talking about sausage. Worst. All right. Do you want to start this? Or, the rules of the game we made up for today is best and worst. We're gonna ask something like, "Hey, what's the best, whatever, and the worst?" And then and then we're gonna share our own. You can figure it out. So here we go. Do you want to go first, Mia, or do you want me to go first?
You ask me a question first. We're gonna answer them too. You're gonna answer yours.
I'll ask you. Okay. You tell me your best and worst, and then I'll follow up with my best and worst. And
okay, cool.
All right.
Do you have 3?
I have 3.
Okay, I wrote 3 as well.
All right, perfect. Let's see. What is your best and worst birthday that you can remember?
Ooh, best and worst birthday. My worst birthday is easy. It was my 30th birthday. The one I just had in August.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. No, was that my worst birthday? Yeah, I think so. I was newly not drinking, and my friends came over, asked me if it was okay if they could drink, and I was like, yeah, sure. We were having a projector movie night in my backyard, and then my friends got wasted and would not stop talking through the movie. It was very early on in COVID, so like the rules for coming into my house were pretty like, you can go use this one bathroom, there's hand sanitizer and wipes in there, and then go straight out. But like that didn't happen. Someone ended up running on the treadmill in the other bedroom, waking my kid up. It was a mess. And you know what? I didn't scold them too much about it. I kind of let it go, but it really was not the 30th birthday I deserved. It was, I mean, and it was a pandemic too. So it was like, what can you do? I came up with this socially distanced movie night, and it did not go my way. But the best birthday.
And Danielle says, "Oh man, you can't beat how bad my." Yeah.
I'm sure people have had way worse. It's not. I've never really had a bad birthday. That one wasn't really that bad. It was just not what I was expecting for my 30th. But the best birthday, as all my birthdays as a kid were great. I mean, my parents really did all the stuff. I mean, I'm very lucky in that way. It was always some big thing. But as an adult, I have had a couple of really good ones, but this one is the one that sticks out the most. And it was for my 29th birthday. I went to Schlitterbahn with a friend, and no kids. No one brought their children, and we just rode water slides all day. And that's my favorite birthday.
That's awesome.
That is I don't know if you know this or not, but that is the hottest, coolest time in Texas.
Schlitterbahn?
Come play.
Yeah, Schlitterbahn's awesome.
It's my favorite place.
Well,
it's pretty cool.
My best, and I have it tied for 2. I'm gonna go quick on those. One, and I just remembered this one when you mentioned it, but when I would turn 10, my mom had a Superman themed birthday party for me and made me a Superman shirt out of like sewed the felt on with the S. And it
cute.
was, yeah, it was the wrong colors and everything, but it's still like, that was like my favorite shirt that my mom made me when I was a kid. But as an adult, my favorite birthday, I don't remember, I might have been 25. But I was riddling kids at the time. My band had won best alternative / punk band in Austin.
Cool.
And we were we went to the Austin Music Awards and received an award, and the morning show people like handed me the award with a rose and like and I got up, made a speech and said, I want to thank, because Bob Schneider had won like 9 awards that night, and I thanked Bob Schneider for not having a song in our category, and everybody laughed. They even wrote about it in the Dallas paper. And then when we left, like got off the stage, I was in VIP, and I started drinking whiskey and in the VIP area, and I saw Sandra Bullock back there standing by herself, and I was like, this is where I make my move. And I went over to Sandra Bullock, and I was like, hey Sandra, I don't mean to bug you. She's like, oh no, I'm just standing here by myself. I was like, hey, it's my birthday, and they gave me this rose when I got an award up there, so I just wanted you to have this rose. Because I thought it would look better on you
Oh.
than me. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. And I was like, yeah, it's good. It's really nice to meet you. She was super sweet and beautiful. And then when we left there, I thought it couldn't get better. When we got home back to our house, all my friends had made a surprise party at our house, and there was like 30 people at the house waiting for me, and it was like in the movie, surprise. It was great. And then of
What
course,
year was that?
this was probably 2002, 2001 or 2002.
That's so
It was a
cool.
long time ago. It was a really good birthday. It was like multiple
Aw.
layers of like, I was like, you can't beat this. This is like, it's like I made it up, which I didn't.
I've
but-
never had a surprise party.
Yeah, and then somebody said, oh, we wasted the good surprise on you, because you have to say that. All right, and my worst birthday, I really don't have a worst birthday, because normal birthdays that aren't fancy, I usually go to work and it's just a normal day, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just like a Wednesday. So I haven't ever had a terrible birthday. It's just like a
You wrote that question knowing you didn't have a bad birthday. You're like, I'm just gonna brag about how my birthdays
No.
have all rocked.
no, maybe a little bit, but all right. Let Kim. Kim says, I left my husband right before my 50th birthday, so I didn't have the party we'd been planning for years. My worst birthday was the day I was born. I was a preemie, and while I was in the preemie ward, my birth mother abandoned me and snuck out of the hospital. Holy crap. I was an
Oh.
orphan, but eventually got adopted, so it worked out kind of awesome. I don't remember it, but imagine. Yeah, that's pretty bad. You win the award for that one.
We need to have a redo for that.
Yeah, we're
50th and my 30th, and I have some
Oh.
other people that want to redo their quarantine big birthdays. So we just have a big old bash
That's-
for everybody.
That's what we're. As soon as things start getting a little
Yeah.
more comfortable for people, we need to have. We should just do this anyway. Have an answering for a friend mixer at some place where we can all meet up and hang out. It'd be fun. All right. I
I
would.
have a question for you.
I would suggest Kick Butt Coffee, because they have a bar and they are a coffee shop, and they have shows, so it can be it could be an alcoholic, non-alcoholic sort of thing. So
Yeah, for sure.
what do you got, Mia? What do you got?
Okay. Best. This is so random. You knew I was gonna write some really random questions.
I love
Um,
I love random.
Best plane ride ever and worst plane ride ever.
Ooh, okay. I got it. Worst plane ride ever. I was probably 6 and maybe 5, and it was from McAllen to Dallas, and I had I was probably 5 or 6, and I had an earache really bad the whole time, and they gave me gum and all that stuff. But when I was a tiny kid, I used to have really terrible earaches, and I happened to have one on this flight, and I was miserable, and I cried. My dad was going up the wall because I was crying I was screaming, crying the whole time. And it was funny. I remember back then you could still smoke on airplanes. So like the right side of the plane was smoking, and the left side of this plane is non-smoking, which is kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, that was probably the worst. The best the best plane ride. One time, Riddle and kids were flying from New York to LA, which is a long flight. 4 or
Yeah.
6 hours. It's a long flight. I can't remember, but and all of us had our seats together, and we all picked on each other and stuff, and a lot, and would joke, and there's a lot of Schadenfreude that would go on. Like we would laugh at the other person's misery.
Yeah.
And so Dave, our drummer, who could be really grumpy, he ended up. We were all sitting together, and somehow he got a seat separate from all of us. He was on the very last seat of the plane where you can't lean your seat back, and he had some Asian woman sitting next to him that didn't speak English, who had a baby that was crying the whole time, and so we kept looking over, and he's like pissed because he's can't lean his seat back, and he's stuck isolated, and at some point I remember looking over and the woman got up and just handed her baby to him and went off to go use the restroom, and and the look on his face was like, what do I do? He was like horrified and miserable, and because I'm a real jerk, that was the funniest thing ever. We always bring that, hey dude, remember that plane ride? Oh my god, longest plane ride ever. It was hilarious. So that's got to be my favorite.
That's funny. I'm the person on the plane who I'm always like, hey, do you need me to watch your kid so you can go? Like, I've watched so many, I've held so many babies on planes, and I'm like, I mean, it sucks when they're crying. They're clearly having a hard time. You know, their ears are hurting or whatever. So, yeah. What does this comment say?
Oh, it was Danielle had an emergency landing in LA when I was an unaccompanied 8-year-old.
Oof.
Oh gosh, unaccompanied 8-year-old.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Let's move on to
my worst. Do you want to hear my best and worst?
Yeah, of course.
My worst one was I was on the plane. I was leaving Charlotte, North Carolina, heading back to Austin. And we're sitting on the plane. Engines are on. We're about to start taxiing out. And the flight attendant gets on and says, we need everyone to deplane now. There was like a lag, and everyone just stands up and gets off the plane. And I mean, this wasn't in the air yet, but we were freaking out. People are grabbing their bags, and she's like, no, off the plane now. And I had years of working through flight anxiety, so for me this was like the worst thing that could ever happen. We all get off the plane, and in the huge windows, we're all standing there, and you just see fuel shooting out of the side of the plane.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, because like we almost blew up. That's why it's holy smokes. It was so scary. They didn't know what was happening. Turns out the fuel guy forgot to stop fueling the plane. So they had just overfueled it.
Oh,
but
wow.
the engines were on, and it was covered in fuel all over under the plane. So it took hours. They had to reroute that whole terminal of every single plane coming in and out because it was just a huge hazard. And it took like 3 hours to get another plane, blah, blah, blah. Scared the crap out of me. I could have blown up and died. I didn't, though.
Yeah, so no smoking on the tarmac, I take it. Holy cow.
Scariest. I was like, I'm not getting back on a plane. And they're like, yeah, you are. And then the best was just when I got to fly first class. The one time.
Ooh.
I couldn't even afford to fly at home. It was just out to the island. I flew first class, a 2-hour plane ride. But it was really nice. It was cool to be up there for those 2 hours.
Nice. I've never done first class.
Yeah, well, on that flight, it was business. It wasn't like, international first class where it's really fancy.
I'm too cheap. I'm functional. Just get me there.
I got upgrade. It was an upgrade situation.
I gotcha. Yeah. I gotcha. Well, if anyone deserves first class, it's Mia Harms.
Oh, thank you. I agree with that. Well, and a surprise party.
Well, what is the best? Yes, you deserve that too. What is the best and worst Tinder date? And we gotta go quick on these last two because I'm looking at the clock. We're starting to run low on time. So what's the best? So we won't rant or take any more comments unless they're amazing. So what is the next? What is the best and worst Tinder date?
The best and worst Tinder date. The worst Tinder date I've ever had was the guy that argued with me about football. He told me I had to be an Oklahoma fan, and I should have. And then he ended up just leaving me there, basically. And he's tied with the guy that tried to get me into Dianetics. Sorry, Scientologists, but that's not for me.
Yikes.
And then the best, I don't know. I've had some good ones. If you
don't have a best, or don't even want to say it, just in case they're watching, you don't need to. We don't have to air all our dirty laundry. We're not obligated to spill the beans
right
here.
Now. I'm on the best.
This is the best Tinder date I've ever been on for sure.
Yeah. What's your best and worst?
My best Tinder date Oh boy. I was gonna make a joke about going to Trudy's. Let's see here. My best Tinder date would I've never had a great Tinder date, actually. So we can cut
Aw.
that one out. Yeah. Um, my worst, I think I've already talked about it one time. I'll give the condensed version. I showed up and the woman smelled like sour laundry. I went ahead and ordered the food. Yeah, it was like a towel that's been in the laundry for 4 days that you forgot to
Oh,
dry.
like the mildewy kind of smell?
Yeah, not the pungent mildewy, but the sour smell. Like when you wear a shirt that wasn't dried properly and you start sweating a little bit and it just starts smelling like
Yeah.
yeah, it's so yeah, this woman, I was like, "Oh my goodness." She came over and tried to give me a hug, and then we went and sat down, and also her personality sucked, but she was crazy. She was crazy. I ate that food at warp speed as fast as I could, like I was in the military, and was like, "Hey, I just got paged. I got to go get to work." And she said, "Oh, well, what are you getting? What are you doing after this?" I was like, "Look, I gotta go. I don't know when I'm getting out of work. I'm gonna be busy." And she's like, "Well, if you want to bang it out later, just give me a text." And I go, "Whoa!" Like she straight up said it, and I was like, "Holy crap! Okay, cool. See you later."
Wow.
Yeah, she was nuts. So that was the worst, and I had to take a shower to get the smell off from the uncomfortable side hug. Um,
Oh,
yeah, terrible. Uh, best and worst place that you've ever eaten.
best and worst place I've ever eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best food I've ever had is in Mexico, and just like street tacos in Mexico,
Oh yeah.
and also a tasting menu in New York City, where at the end of the meal, they came up to us and said you can add one extra course. It was a 7 course. Was it 7 or 10? I don't remember. They came up and they're like, you can add an extra course on for a lot of money. This was an insane spending evening, $60 extra for this course. And I'm like, well, what is it for that much money? And they're like, we literally just had white truffles flown in from France this morning, and we have a white truffle pasta. They bring the pasta out, and they just take white truffles and they're just shaving them on top of the pot, and they just don't stop. I mean, it is a pile, and I've never tasted anything better in my entire life. That is the best food experience I've ever had. God, I love it. And worst, what is the worst?
They could.
I don't eat fish or sushi anymore because I got severely ill from sushi once, and it was at a local place here that I'm not going to out, but I can't do it. I was so sick. I ended up in the hospital,
Oh wow.
and so I don't eat. I can do some fried fish, but I can't do sushi or stuff like that anymore because of that experience, and that was the worst, and it was bad news bears.
Wow.
Yeah.
My best was Pluckers. The today's episode is brought to you by Pluckers. I'm just kidding. My friend Danielle is watching, and she works for Pluckers. So I was just giving a shout out to Danielle. My
Bring me some fried pickles.
yeah, the worst. I could tell you right now. Yeah, there's a Thai restaurant in New London, Connecticut. One time we're on tour, we went there. Danielle just said boo. I was just playing. Yeah,
Aw.
Danielle says. No, the worst place in New London, Connecticut. When I was on tour with Riddling Kids, we went to this Thai place. We sat down. You couldn't even read the menu. I just pointed because I'll eat anything. And they brought all of our food out, and I tasted mine. I was like, "Oh my god, this is terrible!" And it was like. It was some kind of dish that had like coconut milk and curry and ginger all in this thing, and it was just
Mhm.
real weird. And I smelled Mark's food when they put his plate down. I was like, that smells delicious. Dustin's food, that smells delicious. Oh, and then mine was like, oh. And I tasted it, and then I passed it over. I was like, Dustin, you got to check this out. Dustin takes a bite, and he says, hmm, I- I've never tasted anything like that before. And so I was like, yeah, it was the worst thing ever. So that it was the worst food I've ever eaten. And I didn't
Did
ask.
you get sick?
No, I didn't get sick. I just didn't eat
Mm.
it. And they're like, "Oh, what's the matter?" And I go, "It's okay." And they said, "Do you want something else?" I said, "I'm good." Let me take it off the bill. And I was like, "Nope, that's on me." I did the same thing one time when I didn't know what sweetbreads were. which is fried pancreas and other glands. And I was like, I didn't know what I was getting. I was trying to be adventurous. It was a gamble. It's a game I play a lot, and sometimes I lose. So I asked for this. I will pay for it, and I paid for it, and I was happy to do so. So and I'm sure I went and drank a bunch of beers to wash my palate after that. But yeah.
Yeah.
The best food, my favorite dinner that I could think of. There's so many great places. Sometimes it's the environment, the people you're with, and it's just a hot dog from a baseball stadium or something like that. That can be the most amazing things. And I'm lucky to have been to a lot of great places. But one that sticks out is one time with an ex of mine went to Seattle to visit her dad, and we ended up having Bloody Marys and grilling. We went to the meat market, and I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna grill some steaks, or we're gonna, and they ended up going and getting these giant king crab that had just come out of the ocean, and ended up
From the market, the public market.
Yeah, we where they throw the fish in all the movies and all that. Yeah, and we ended up going to a different to a different market, but we walked by there, but yeah, and so it was crab, and it probably didn't hurt that I'd had 4 Bloody Marys probably by that point, but I was like, but yeah, I just remember eating the crab, and I was like, I'll never eat seafood again unless I'm on the West Coast, because it's nothing is going to taste as good, because I've eaten at seafood restaurants in Texas, and it's nothing even close. So
I mean, I agree with that too. Like, this was before the sushi incident, but I never ate, like, clam chowder was disgusting, and the best clam chowder I had was in Seattle, and I was like, this is actually very tasty.
Yeah.
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 Well, should I save these questions for next time, because I have 2 more.
You got 2 more? Let's do one more real quick. We'll do let's do speed round. We'll just do super short answers. What do you say?
This can be short. Okay. Best thing you've received in the mail and worst thing you've received in the mail.
Worst thing I've received in the mail is a letter from the IRS. Best thing I've received in the mail is money.
How much money?
Thousands of dollars. Royalty checks.
Oh.
I don't get those like I used to, but for a minute they were nice.
Yeah. I think the best thing I've ever received in the mail is my kid. Just kidding.
Stork. Thank you, Stork.
I think the worst thing I've ever received in the mail is just stuff that sucks, like junk from Amazon that you've ordered and whatever. But definitely the best thing, I would say those stimulus checks are pretty nice.
Those were nice.
Money, yeah, things like that. I just got my mattress that I ordered, got like a month ago. That's probably the best thing I've ever received in the mail ever.
Is it a
best
Nectar?
Mattress, hands down.
Is it a Nectar?
No, it's a Wink bed.
Wink? Haven't heard of those guys.
It's incredible. It is the best sleep I've ever had in my life.
Nice.
It's probably the best thing I've received in the mail. And letters from my grandmother.
Oh.
I know. All right.
And what do you have? One more question?
I have one more question.
Let's do it.
This one's flustering. Best kiss you've ever had and worst kiss you've ever had.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And out the people. Just kidding. I want names.
Man, I don't have a best or worst. I can't.
You've never had a bad kiss?
I've had some.
Yeah, for sure. We've all had some.
My worst, my first kiss was probably the worst because I was terrible. In 7th grade, Angie Ambrose, and I remember that after later when we broke up, she said, "You kiss like Darth Vader," because apparently I was like, so yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, I've had some bad ones. Unfortunately, my first one wasn't the worst one, and that one was really bad. I've had some horrible ones as adults with just some weird things people do with their mouths. We need a training session. That should be a part of becoming an adult, is learning how to kiss.
Kissing school?
Yeah, a lot of stabby tongues and just, bad stuff. But yeah, I think that's that.
Well, that wraps it up then, I guess. Boy, oh boy. Well, before we sign off, gang, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Yeah, and click the notification. Tell your friends, guys. This is this is episode 6. We're still a young YouTube channel. We're still a young Facebook channel, and we're trying to get people to tune in because the more people that are involved, the more fun it is. And we appreciate everybody who's been tuning in every week. You guys are great, and we got a bunch more shows ahead of you. So every Thursday night, 8 p.m., we'll be here. And Mia, love you, girl. I'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye, you guys. Take it easy. Whoop.